Okay. So inspiring. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Reverend Dale, and it's always an honor for me and a privilege to be able to stand here and just talk to you about what I'm here to talk to you about today. And something that was so interesting, I had a conversation with somebody a little bit before service started, and they were really excited that all these different speakers that they had been listening to the last couple days, they were talking about this certain theme. And I looked at him and I said, well, I'm not talking about that. So I didn't get the memo that there's a theme in the world, because the theme that I'm bringing to you today has been on my heart. And if it's on my heart, there must be a lot of wondering about how we can live into something different that's more meaningful and more substantial for us. So I want to take a quick poll. How many binge watchers out there? Anybody who likes to watch binge TV series, that kind of stuff? Come on, people, I'm with you. I am so with you on that. And since, maybe it's since COVID, it's turned into kind of like an addiction. I hate to say it. I mean, I'm busy, I have my life, but when I tune out at the end of the day, I love my binge TV. And I've watched everything. I mean, I've watched Poker Face. I watched some of the Housewives of whatever. I've watched so many different things, right? And it's a distraction, but once in a while, there's a series where there's some spiritual truth coming up, believe it or not. And the most recent one that I've watched, where I've actually found a shiro out of it, and it's kind of changed my life, and you can see. It's below deck Mediterranean, not Bali, not Indonesia, but the Mediterranean, because this woman, Captain Sandy, is the bomb. She is the bomb captain, man. What I love about Captain Sandy, I kind of have a thing for people who have had really difficult lives and have done a 180 and changed themselves and become very successful, and not successful materially. I mean successful as people, as spiritually successful people who have found themselves in the wreckage of their lives. They found themselves. They found that spiritual wholeness within, and they've changed their lives as a result. And that's what Captain Sandy is all about. Because I don't even know if she graduated high school, but she had a really difficult upbringing. She went to jail. She was into drugs and alcohol, and she cleaned herself up, and now she charters these super yachts. And yeah, the drama's really fun to watch, of course, but I always really admire her because she brings a real sensibility and a wholeness and a spiritual centeredness to her crew and to the boating experience, because she's all about people, communicating, listening to the other side of what's going on, not judging rashly, and just really being a kind person. Although, yes, she is a disciplinarian and things need to go right, but she's got that heart that we talk about here. And so my talk title today is Take the Helm. Because for me, I can tell you, standing up here, there were times in my life where I wasn't behind the helm of my ship. I was like in the little life preserver, big rope that was like almost ready to snap, just being dragged by a boat that wasn't being governed by anybody. That's how I felt in my life. And so I like to talk about taking the helm, because we all have that captain inside of ourselves. I have an interesting story. My mom, towards the end of her life, before she got really sick, but she was really into volunteer work, and she created this leadership program for nonprofits. And at the time in my life when she was doing that, I was working at an insurance company, and I liked my life. I really wasn't into any kind of spirituality except for like self-help books, and just kind of had my own thing going. So I was kind of just in a place of being and enjoying life and doing what I was doing. And my mom used to take me out when I would visit her, because she lived in LA, and we would have our little ritual of going to the mall and having lunch and going shopping. And every time we would have lunch, she'd start in on me. She would say, yeah, you've got to go through my leadership training, Dale, because it was leadership for nonprofits. She goes, I want to train you. I want you to learn how to be a leader. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, I do not see in my future a leadership role at a nonprofit. Oh my God, was I wrong. It's that defiance thing, like if she says do something, don't. I had that going on, but I really didn't, to be honest. I didn't see myself doing something like this, and I really wish I had, because boy, could I have used her training in some situations. But she found something inside of me that she knew was there, a leader, and I really didn't see it. And if I could have my next slide. You know, we all have a captain inside of ourselves. You may not be able to identify it. You may not be able to relate with that, but we are all born to lead our own lives. Some of us lead people, but we all can lead our own lives. And I found this wonderful quote by Emma Curtis Hopkins. She says, "It has been taught from the remotest times that we have this name stored within us as concealed energy." And what she's talking about is God or our spirit, that it's concealed inside of ourselves. And that word concealed, I just really glommed onto it because it is concealed in all of us. And our job is to unconceal it and let it free. And the aspect of ourselves that's a captain is something that is so vitally important for us to unconceal. You know, we heard Francesca and Alicia singing about dreams today. And to me, we all are dreamers. We absolutely are. How did this life come into existence? We dreamt it. We dreamt it. We got to start dreaming a good dream rather than a nightmare, but we all dream our lives into existence. And if you're going to have a dream, you need to have a captain to drive that boat of your dream into reality. And so what I am here to tell all of you here is that every single person sitting here, you online too, you all have an inner captain, and it's time to take the helm. My next slide is this. Joe Dispenza talks all about our ability and our power to change our consciousness, change our energy. And we have to do that by, first of all, recognizing what we want to be. And he says, becoming the person you aspire to be requires that you stop being that old self. And for me, that old self was powerless. That old self said I could never be a leader, I could never be a captain of my old life, just because I didn't have self-confidence. But I had a dream in my heart that I want self-confidence. I want to be like those people who are captains of their lives. I want to be able to have that power and be doing what I want to do. And reading Joe Dispenza, he says it doesn't have to be just hanging out in the dream space. You can bring that into being who you are. And so we all have the ability, but we can't be the old self anymore. We cannot continue being a victim or being powerless and move into the energy of being a captain. And so we've got to do our inner work. We've got to do our inner work and stop believing that we are less than, and start believing that we are expansive, that we are everything and we can do anything we choose to do in this life. My next slide is this. So he's another one of my favorite captains. I love Captain Kirk. So this is what the captain is all about. Well, and more. He's an observer, right? The captain observes. They don't react, but they observe. They see what's going on in the ocean, what's going on with the boat, what's going on with the crew. They have to be observing everything. And don't we need to be the observer of our life rather than just being like in a state of life just happening to us? We've got to become the observer, right? What's happening out here? What do I need to know? What do I need to know? And the captain also gathers information. They watch everything. They gather their information from different people, different sources, so that they have as full a scope as possible about what they can do, what solutions, what ideas are out there. It's so important to not be narrow-focused, to see everything that's out there to know. And then you can assess the situation. Then you can assess it. And you're in a place of mindfulness, of seeing it all the information you've gathered, you can figure it out. And then you can make a decision. And I know that word decisions for some of us is nerve-wracking because we might be afraid of the decisions that we've made in the past and we don't trust ourselves. But man, decision is all we got. Decision is all we have to move our lives forward. So if you're not making decisions, you're going to be paralyzed. And so the gift of being a good captain is to get to wherever you need to go to know what you need to know and make a decision so the boat can move forward. And so these are the qualities of being a captain of our own soul, utilizing these qualities so that we can maximize our life experience from the helm, because that's where we all belong. And my next slide is this. This is from Captain Sandy, I'll have you know. She says, fear is reaction, courage is a decision. Because sometimes the first decision we have to make isn't the direction that we need to go into, but it's to be courageous, is to have the courage to say, all right, I need to do something here. I need to move in a new direction. I need to have a conversation with somebody. Courage is a decision because it opens your energy to move forward. You're not paralyzed and just sitting in a state of not knowing. My next slide. So Leonard Cohen says this: if you don't become the ocean, you'll be seasick every day. I love that quote. You know, I grew up in a really sheltered environment when I was a child, and I didn't know about life. I only knew my little life, which was very, very different than the average bear. And when I was about 18 or 19, I said, I got to break free of this, and I just want to go live life. But I didn't have my sea legs yet. And I got seasick every day because this life that I was in was so different than what I grew up in, you know? I didn't have somebody slipping me a 20 every now and then just for gas money, and I didn't have somebody like really helping me make decisions. I was on my own. But for me, I wanted to learn about the sea of life. I wanted to get to know what it's all about so I could navigate it. And that's how I learned how to not be seasick, because I was a conscious participant in my life and what was going on in my relationship to everything, and to watch the currents and to see how the sea rises, to see what happens, what do I do when the waves are crashing down upon me. I became so aware of how that operates that I was able to navigate in such a way where I could move through life circumstances in a wholeness, in a place where I knew how to keep my momentum going even when life was very painful. But understanding the sea of life is what a captain does. You got to understand all the aspects so that you can move through it and not be seasick, right? And my next slide is this, by Ernest Holmes. He says, we may change the trend of causation, which has been set in motion at any time we decide to do so. Okay, I know, let's unpack that, right? Because Ernest is earnest. So what he's saying basically is no matter what is happening in your life, you can change it. And we change it through spiritual practice. Here, prayer is our big life-changing practice. So you have something going on in life. You lost a job, things are falling apart for you. Something is moving, and you're in it. So you could just stay in it of it all, or you could go to prayer, or you could talk to a practitioner. You could talk to somebody who's going to tell you that this doesn't need to continue. I can change by changing my awareness, changing my consciousness, changing my expectation that something good can sprout from this so that I don't go down and down and down in a spiral. We can spiral up from anything, and that's what Ernest Holmes is talking about here. He's saying no matter what is going on, no matter what trajectory you're in, you have the power at any time to make a decision to say, I've had enough, let's move this boat in a new direction. And you can. That's the beauty. We are so wired to be able to change our lives through our consciousness. We don't even know it. I didn't know it when I came here. That is the first step of change, is knowing that you can, that your ship doesn't need to go over. It can keep going steadily when you have the tools to drive your boat in such a place where you're going easily and effortlessly and maneuvering through the high tides and the high waves, that you have the ability inside of you. And my next slide is how to develop your captain consciousness. So I am giving you a gift today, and there's so many more, I'm not going to overwhelm you. But we all have this captain consciousness, is what I call it, the captain aspect of yourself. So here's some tips about how you can find that inside of yourself. First, know that spiritual principles and practices are your tools, right? When you know that there is a power that you are, that you can tap into, that is a creative source of life, where all ideas can come into your awareness to be able to make good decisions for yourself, when you know that, man, there's nothing you can't do. There is no sea that will stop you from sailing to your port. You know, when you've got spirituality, spiritual truth, spiritual practice nestled inside of you, unconcealed and living in, as, and through you, using those tools, man, your life is going to be a dream. And know that Spirit is your guiding force, your North Star. When you really know that that energy of God is everything that you are, then you feel safe on that boat. You know that you've got this great power supporting you, moving you, revealing to you everything that allows you to move through and forward in life. And the next one is this: trust yourself. I know some people have a hard time with trust, and there's times where I'm kind of not sure about what's coming through, and can I trust myself, especially when there's new territory. But you know what? You've got to trust yourself. I know there's so many of us, and me included, who gave the captain of my ship to somebody else because I thought they were better than I was or knew more than I did and that I was less than. And so I let somebody else be my captain. I'm going to tell you that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You are who you are. You are here with unique ideas, with a unique path, and we've got to be the captain of this whole thing. So we've got to trust ourselves. And trust needs to be built. If you haven't gotten there, if you are thinking that I've made so many horrible decisions, well, join the club. We all have. But that's okay. You have the ability to make good decisions. Use those spiritual principles. Get yourself involved in communities like this so that you can have that support that shows you that, yeah, you can trust yourself. And I want you to see yourself as the authority of your life. I know that that's one that a lot of us lose, but you are the authority of your life. You really are. You know what's right for you. You know what's not right for you. You know where you want to go. You've got an inner compass, an inner GPS system that tells you what the right direction is, and we've got to trust that because other people don't know. They can think they know. They can tell us, I know what's best for you, but no, you know what's best. And it's time to believe that. Time to believe that. As Ernest Holmes says, Ernest Holmes tells us, any causation can be changed when you decide. So decide to stop seeing yourself as not being the authority of your own life. Step into it. You've got it. And my next slide. Don't wait to make the perfect decision. Oh my God, has anybody oh yeah, you're raising your hand really fast there. Yeah, right? I used to be like that too. I have to make the perfect decision, and there's the paralysis that comes in because my God, it'll take forever for the perfect decision to come to be. Just make a decision. If you feel like there's a lot of right to that decision, then do it. Because guess what? Course correction is always possible. So if the decision doesn't quite go in the direction you wanted it to go into, you can course correct, right? And aren't we constantly course correcting? Isn't life about course correcting, right? We try something, we make a decision, we try it, whoops, that didn't work, or no, I need to go in a new direction, course correct. It's just the nature of who we are. You know, we're fluid beings. Life isn't black and white, it's not static. There's so much organic evolution going on inside of us, around us, at every single moment of every single day. And so to make decisions is required because life is always changing, just like the ocean. It is always, always changing. We got to get used to that because the more we get used to that, the easier it's going to be to navigate it. And so that's what our call to growth is if we're not there yet, because you can do it. My next slide is this. You aren't doing this alone, right? Sometimes you think the captain, he's on the helm, he's all by himself. No. The captain has a huge crew on that boat helping him or her to drive that boat. And so get your crew together. Get yourself your friends. Get rid of the rats that might be living on the deck. You don't need those hanging around anymore. The naysayers, the distractors. Get yourself a good crew. Get friends. You know, get spiritual community, go to groups, get yourself a crew because they support you on your journey. That's what makes a good captain, is picking the right crew because they're everything and you're all going to be successful, whatever the endeavor is. When you've got that successful crew with you, you're going to do very well. And so my last slide about giving you advice on being a captain is to tell you it's your ship, so enjoy the ride. This doesn't have to be all serious. I know sometimes I come up here and I'm serious. I'm telling you this is what to do to expand yourself. But man, at the end of the day, it's about having fun and enjoying your life. That's the bottom line. That's the destination, right? That's it. That's all. That's what we're teaching you up here. I mean, we're teaching you a lot of spiritual principles. We're giving you tools up the yin-yang. But what's underneath all that, what the goal is here, is to get you into joy, to get you into loving your life so much you cannot wait to get up every single day and say, what's next? What do I do today? That's the boat to be on. That's the boat to be on, right? Enjoy. SSN Joy. SSN Joy. That's the boat to be on. You know, and to be quite honest, the boat, it's not about the destination, right? It's about having fun on the boat. And I will tell you oh my God, on Below Deck, they're having a lot of fun on that boat in between their charters. But I digress. Anyways, so the boat, the journey, it's all about having fun and really being in that energy of just loving yourself, your life, the people who are on the boat with you, just everything. And not that things don't happen that are a bummer, right? They do. But when you have that consciousness of a captain, and you're just observing, you're using your spiritual tools, you got the good crew, when you've got that in place, then no matter what comes up in life, you're golden. You've got it covered. You've got the support, you've got the energy, and you can do it all. And my last slide is this. Okay, Captain, my captain. So one of my favorite movies is Dead Poets Society. Anybody else in here? I love that movie. And I have my favorite part, which is the end, where he got in trouble. Well, I'm not going to go through the movie. So Robin Williams is the captain because he teaches these kids who are high pressure to be successful in life. They've got to get the good grades, the good college, because their parents have told them that this is what life is all about. Good career, make a lot of money, have the family, you know, that whole spiel, right? And he comes in as this great English instructor, and he says, no, my friends, it's about the soul, right? It's about sucking the marrow out of life. It's about the dreamers. It's about the poets. Living from the heart, that's what life is all about. And he became their captain. She's showing them the way to find their heart and their soul and to let it breathe and to express who they are, even if it's different than what mom and dad told you you need to be. And this is the scene where he got kicked out of the school because there was a death. One of the students killed themselves, and so they had to take him out of the school because they blamed him. And he had to leave because, really, metaphorically, storyline, because these guys had to be their own captain. He had taught them how to be a captain of their soul. And now it was his time to leave, and now they get to be captains of their own souls because his work was done. His work was done. And so my work is done up here because just today, because, don't worry, I'll be back, because I'm here to awaken the captain inside of you. I'm here to say, take the helm. I'm here to say, you've got it inside of yourself to be the captain of your life. And never doubt that. And don't let the mistakes, don't let the things in life that hurt or that are distracting to you, don't let those veer you off of your course of living on your joyful life. You've got it in you, and you're the only one that can be the captain, everybody. You're it. So put on your captain's hat, take the helm, and have a great cruise on your joy ship. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Woo!